that'll join together to form the box. Hot glue if the cardboard is wax-coated. The next machine folds over the glued sections. They aren't visible once the box is finished. Another machine stacks the boxes in piles. A separator arm moves the bundles to trays called skids for shipping. The printing of the boxes began in the factory's ink kitchen. A computer-guided dispenser squirts out different shades of ink, following a precise recipe to create a particular color, one of 5,000 in the palette. One pail holds about 20 kilograms of printing ink, enough for about 2,000 boxes, depending on the coverage needed. The factory uses water-based ink because it dries instantly. The printing press applies the ink to the boards, one color group at a time, through 4 consecutive stations. This factory uses a flexographic printing system, a process that can print drawings and illustrations. Some companies use a lithographic press, which can also print photographs. Back on the trimming line, more complicated types of box flaps and handles require what's called a flatbed trimmer. It holds the boards in place with suction while making intricate perforations. After removing the trimmed bits, workers give the boxes one last quality check. Then they stack them and send them off to the warehouse. The main ingredient in glass is silica sand. When you heat it along with other chemicals, it turns into a syrupy liquid that you can then mold or blow into a particular shape. Add lead oxide and you've got lead crystal. It's much softer than regular glass, making it easier to decorate with intricate cut designs to enhance its brilliance. Craftsmen start with silica sand, which is a very pure type of sand. Then they add nickel oxide to help the silica sand melt. Lead oxide, potassium carbonate, potassium nitrate, and antimony to give the finished crystal its smoothness, heft, and sparkle. They compress the mix into pellets. They heat the pellets for 18 hours, creating a mass of molten glass that they call the melt. To that they add cullet, the term for excess, broken, or rejected crystal. Cullet smooths out the melt. A blower now uses a hollow blowing iron made of tempered stainless steel to collect some of the melt. He constantly rotates the iron so the melt clings together in what's called a gather. The blower rolls the gather on a heat-resistant table. This sparks a flame because the table is coated with beeswax to prevent the molten crystal from sticking. The blower exhales a slow, steady breath of air to create the base of the piece called the ball. After letting it cool for 90 seconds, he dips the ball back in the furnace to coat it with another layer of molten crystal. This fortifies the ball. Now he begins shaping the ball using various wooden tools. This one's called a block. He uses another tool, a divider, to create grooves so the ball will fit into a mold. The blower soaks the wooden tools in water so they won't burn. He now inserts the ball into a steel mold, one of 150 this company uses for its collection. The craftsmen coat the inside of the mold beforehand with a paste of cork dust, linseed oil, and charcoal dust. This prevents the ball from sticking, which would cause flaws in the crystal. The blower releases the ball, now called the bowl, using a foot pedal. After cooling the bowl for 1 minute, another craftsman called a stemmer adds another gather to create the stem of the wine glass. He clips the gather with heat-resistant scissors. He uses a wooden divider to shape the stem area, and a metal divider to stretch the gather into the shape of the stem. The stemmer must be highly skilled. There's no mold or pattern to follow. He relies entirely on eyesight, intuition, and patience. He cools the stem with layers of wet newspaper. They absorb heat well and don't leave marks or flaws. Next, another craftsman adds more gather to create the foot of the glass. He uses a wooden tool called the pitch to flatten the foot. He also shapes the foot by hand with wet newspaper. This metal template ensures it's generally the right dimensions. Everything is handmade, so each piece may differ slightly. This company makes 20 models of glasses, including different styles for red, white, port, and ice wines. The piece then goes into a kiln at 450 degrees Celsius. At the end of the day, they switch off the kiln to let the glasses gradually cool overnight to room temperature. The next day, a craftsman uses an acetylene torch to cut the glass and remove the cap. They use an old record turntable to spin the glass around and make the cut. For precision, they smooth and bevel the rim with a diamond-coated steel grinder. Another craftsman, called a cutter, marks out a grid with a waterproof pen. He uses another type of turntable to steady his hand as he draws. It's not an exact pattern, just a general guideline to create the design of the piece. This design's called the Titanic. It's based on a light fixture from the ocean liner. Water cools, lubricates, and cleans the area during cutting. There are two types of cutting, wedge and flat. Wedge cutting creates the deep, intricate cuts. Flat cutting creates smoother, less angled cuts. Here they use the wedge method, which can only be done with diamond-tipped wheels. Here the cutter creates a diamond-shaped grid called a Caro cut. Finally, the cutter creates a star-shaped cut spanning the entire foot of the glass. Once the decorations are complete, an inspector does a detailed quality check before etching the company logo. If you have any comments about the show, or if you'd like to suggest topics for future shows, drop us a line at www.howitismade.net.